Welcome to the Bio Buzz Center. This is Tracy Cooley, and I am here at the 2014 Bio International Convention in San Diego with Bio's Charles Crane. Welcome, Charles.
Thanks, Tracy.
So today we're talking about the Jobs Act, the Jumpstart Our Business Startups Act, which passed in April 2012 and helps emerging companies make it easier to go public. So, Charles, tell us a little bit about the Jobs Act and provisions within it.
Well, Tracy, the key here is that the Jobs Act helps companies go public. And so it does this in two very important ways. The first is that it increases access to investors. So this increases the capital potential of an emerging company offering. Under the old rules, there were lots of restrictions on when and how you could talk to investors. And what the Jobs Act does is it gives you a longer on-ramp to your offering, gives you more time to explain your complicated technology. As we know, biotech, it's a very complicated process. And it lets the investors really understand and be comfortable with investing in your offering. The second thing it does is it decreases the amount of capital that's diverted from your research. Emerging companies are largely in the pre-revenue space. They don't have a lot of extra capital to spend on compliance burdens. And so what the Jobs Act does is it decreases the cost of being a public company. So it allows these companies to really focus their funds on their very important research that they're doing.
So let's just cut to the chase. The most important thing is patience, and we have here the breakdown of the disease areas in which companies went public. Can you talk a little bit about this?
Absolutely. So I think one of the problems with how we talk about the Jobs Act is that it seems like it's a business story, and it is. We're talking about capital, we're talking about Wall Street, but the real takeaway, as we know in the biotech industry, are patients. So you see this big, bold 80 here, which is an exciting number. It's a 150% increase over the previous 2 years for IPOs, but more than just an 80, that really is a breakdown of a bunch of therapeutic areas. And these are trials, these are patients that are going to be affected. The reason a company goes IPO is to fund its research. They usually have a phase 2 trial coming up, a very specific milestone that they're going for. And so the IPO is a capital raising event for that trial. And so we have this big, bold 80, which we love, but really that's broken down into patients that are suffering from cancer, from metabolic disease, et cetera. And that's who our companies are really trying to help.
And like I said, we are in the beautiful state of California, so we've had the most IPOs in California, but can you talk a little bit about the states and also the fact that the Jobs Act helps to spur job creation?
Absolutely, and as you said, we're in California, which has long been a biotech hub. If you look at the 2 years before the Jobs Act, though, the IPOs, which again, there were only 32, they were really only concentrated in California and Massachusetts, which is exciting for those two states, but for the rest of the country, there was a real need for capital. And so the Jobs Act has opened up that market. You can see the wide range of states here that have benefited from the Jobs Act. And a key takeaway here is that the average company after an IPO increases its job growth by 115%. And so we have a wide range of states, a wide range of companies that have seen that benefit. And so we have job creation all across the country, not just on the two coasts.
But we're not done yet. This has been a wonderful success story, but what's next?
That's absolutely right. We're not done yet. Bio was a big part of the Jobs Act. We've been very excited to see the 80 IPOs. We've actually seen even more IPOs since, so this data was pulled at the 2-year anniversary of the Jobs Act. We're already over 90 under the Jobs Act, so we're very excited about that momentum. And so Bio is going back to Congress to see what else we can do. Congress very rarely hears it did anything right. We've all heard about partisan political gridlock, but in this case it was an absolute success for our industry and for the country. And so we're going back to Congress to say, what else can we do? We have all of these 80 plus companies that are now public. Let's have a Jobs Act 2.0, if you will. Let's make it even easier for companies to go public, to raise capital, and to be successful on the market. And as we said, that helps in the long term fund treatments and cures for patients.
And you mentioned Bio's role in the Jobs Act. Can you talk a little bit more about how Bio pushed for this?
Absolutely. So if you look back 2 years ago, we saw a really difficult market for capital. We only had these 32 IPOs in 2 years, and it was essentially not an option for biotechs to go public. That was just not a capital raising option for them. And so Bio sat down with policymakers, Republicans in the House, Democrats in the Senate, Democrats in the White House. This was a bipartisan effort led by Bio and other stakeholders to open up the capital markets, and we've seen the huge success of this. I love pointing back at this big 80, and it's very exciting for biotech companies that have been able to take advantage of Bio's advocacy in DC.
It's very exciting indeed. Charles Crane, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Tracy.
And thank you to all of our viewers as well for the Bio Buzz Center. This is Tracy Cooley.